Right now, there is a plant growing in the cracks of the walkway in front of your home. Not in a supermarket, not on a farm, but right there in your yard. You were taught that it's a weed. Something ugly, useless, something that should be pulled out and destroyed. But what if I told you, this plant contains more calcium than milk, more vitamins than spinach, and provides a surprising amount of protein? Humans once relied on this plant for thousands of years to survive winter's droughts and famine. So why today do we spend billions of dollars trying to eliminate it? This is not a conspiracy theory. This is the story of a forgotten food. My name is Billy. I specialize in agriculture and real clean food. I study how humans ate before supermarkets and chemicals made decisions for us. If you care about real food and growing your own greens at home, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. I want to grow clean, real greens at home. This starts with the small garden right outside your door. Today, right now, let's begin. For decades, we've been taught that to be healthy, we must eat meat for protein, drink milk for calcium, and eat spinach for vitamins. These messages are everywhere. Schools advertising medical advice, repeated so often they feel like unquestionable truth. But obvious does not mean correct. Before supermarkets existed, before packaged foods and supplements filled shelves, humans were already healthy. They lived, reproduced, and built resilient societies. They didn't do it by importing food from far away. They ate what grew around them. More than 8,000 years ago, people understood this clearly. They didn't gather plants randomly. They selected them. They saved the strongest seeds and replanted them generation after generation. In North America, indigenous peoples developed complete agricultural systems. Food grown intentionally stored for winter and protected as a vital resource. The plants they chose didn't need to look pretty or be easy to control. They needed to feed people reliably, consistently, and with minimal dependence on weather. What's remarkable is that this knowledge didn't exist in just one place. In India, this plant is still valued as an important winter green. In China, it never disappeared from family meals. In Mexico, grandmothers still teach children how to identify and cook wild, nutrient-dense plants. Across the world, people remembered. And people kept eating it. Only in modern American society did its name slowly fade away. That plant is called lamb's quarters, and the real question isn't what it is, but why we were taught to hate it. When the name lamb's quarters is mentioned, many people react with confusion. If this plant fed humans for thousands of years, if it is nutrient-dense, easy to grow, and appears everywhere, why is it now labeled a weed? The answer is not found in the plant itself. It lies in how modern society was structured. After World War II, the United States entered a massive suburban expansion. Millions of new homes were built on freshly disturbed land. At the same time, a new standard of living was created. Front lawns had to be flat. They had to be uniformly green. And they had to look exactly like the neighbors. The lawn was no longer nature. It became a symbol of order, discipline, and control. In this environment, lamb's quarters thrived. It grew quickly on disturbed soil. It required no care. It asked for no permission. To the newly formed suburban system, this was not seen as an advantage. It was seen as disorder. Any plant that grew outside of planning and regulation was automatically treated as a problem that needed to be removed. At the same time, chemical companies were transitioning out of the war economy and searching for civilian markets. Compounds originally developed for military purposes were rebranded as household products. Herbicides were marketed as symbols of progress and modern living. Killing freely growing plants became encouraged behavior. Allowing them to exist became associated with laziness and irresponsibility. Homeowners associations, commonly known as HOAs, began issuing detailed rules about what was allowed to grow on private land. Lamb's quarters was officially labeled a harmful weed. In many areas, homeowners could be fined simply for allowing an edible plant to grow on property they legally owned. In industrial agriculture, the story followed the same pattern. Lamb's quarters directly competes with corn and soybeans, crops that receive heavy subsidies. It does not require new seeds each season. It does not require chemical fertilizers. It does not require pesticides that made it a threat to an economic system built on selling constant inputs to farmers. Today, tens of billions of dollars are spent each year controlling and eliminating weeds. At the same time, leafy greens are packaged, shipped thousands of miles, and sold at premium prices. Lamb's quarters does not fit that model. It grows for free. It grows everywhere. And it cannot be controlled. In a system that profits from scarcity, anything that represents abundance is treated as dangerous. That is why Lamb's quarters was not forgotten by accident. It was removed deliberately. Not because it is useless, but because it is too useful, too free, and impossible to commodify. Once you know the name Lamb's quarters, the real question is no longer what it is. The question is why it was hated. And the answer is not found in nutrition or biology. It is found in the system. After World War II, the United States built a suburban culture centered on perfect lawns, uniform green, and tightly controlled. Any plant that grew outside of that design was considered a problem. Lamb's quarters grew quickly, required no care, and asked no permission, so it was labeled chaos. At the same time, the chemical industry needed new markets, and herbicides became symbols of progress. In a system that profits from control and scarcity, an edible plant that grows freely and cannot be managed will always be treated as a threat. What makes Lamb's quarters truly dangerous is not its nutritional value. The danger lies in the fact that it does not need us. It does not require chemical fertilizers. It does not need frequent watering. It does not demand fertile soil or special care. It grows where land has been damaged, where industrial agriculture has moved on and left the soil behind. Instead of depleting the land, it restores it. Instead of depending on external inputs, it adapts on its own. Biologically, Lamb's quarters is what ecologists call a pioneer species. It is among the first plants to appear on bare, disturbed, or nutrient-poor soil. Its root system stabilizes the ground, increases organic matter, and prepares the soil for other plants to follow. In nature, this is a healing function. In industrial agriculture, it is a problem, because that system was not designed to heal soil. It was designed to extract from it, in short, repeatable cycles. Lamb's quarters also resists conventional control. A single plant can produce tens of thousands of seeds. Those seeds can remain viable in the soil for decades, waiting for the right conditions to emerge. You can cut it down. You can pull it out. You can till the soil, and it will still come back. For a system built on controlling every variable of food production, this is unacceptable. More importantly, Lamb's quarters cannot be turned into a proprietary product. You cannot patent it. You cannot force growers to buy new seeds every year. You cannot make it dependent on a specific fertilizer or chemical. It breaks the economic logic of modern agriculture, where profit comes from selling inputs, not from feeding people. The existence of a plant like this raises an uncomfortable question. If food can grow freely, naturally, and resiliently, why do we depend on a system that is complex, expensive, and fragile? If land can heal itself, why do we accept a model that exhausts soil and then compensates with chemicals? Lamb's quarters is not just a plant. It is living proof that another approach once existed and still exists. In a system built on scarcity, anything that represents abundance is treated as a threat. Lamb's quarters represents natural abundance. It shows that food does not have to be rare. It does not have to be expensive. And it does not have to be tightly controlled. That is why it was not merely labeled a weed. It was treated as something that needed to disappear. And that is why, for decades, we were taught how to destroy this plant instead of how to understand and use it. Not because it was dangerous to humans, but because it was dangerous to a system that cannot survive if people remember that food was once free. It is not an accident that ancient civilizations intentionally kept plants like lamb's quarters within their agricultural ecosystems. They understood that a sustainable system is not one that eliminates everything it cannot control, but one that knows how to coexist with diversity. Free-growing plants like lamb's quarters functioned as biological insurance. When primary crops failed due to drought, pests, or extreme weather, these plants remained and continued to feed people. Modern agriculture, by contrast, pursues uniformity. One seed, one method, one long, fragile supply chain. In that model, there is no place for plants that grow outside the plan. They are treated as system errors. But nature does not operate according to human plans. It operates according to adaptability. And lamb's quarters is one of the clearest examples of that adaptability. As the climate becomes more unpredictable and soils continue to degrade, the plants, once dismissed as weeds, are often the last ones standing. They do not need to be saved. They only need to stop being destroyed. And that leaves modern humanity with a choice to continue fighting nature through control and chemicals, or to learn how to cooperate with what has proven its value for thousands of years. After understanding why lamb's quarters has been disliked and systematically removed, the most important question is a very practical one. What can we actually do with it? The answer is quite a lot. And surprisingly, using this plant is extremely simple. The first step is identification. Young lamb's quarters has diamond-shaped or goosefoot-shaped leaves. The leaf surface often carries a thin, whitish, powdery coating, especially on the newer growth near the top. The stem is soft, light green, sometimes tinged with purple. It commonly grows in disturbed soil, backyards, along fences, walkways, or neglected corners of gardens. When young, this is when it is most nutritious and best tasting. When harvesting, there is no need to pull out the entire plant. Simply pinch off the tender tops and upper leaves. This allows the plant to keep growing and provides multiple harvests throughout the season. This is something most industrial vegetables cannot do. They are usually harvested once, while lamb's quarters continues feeding you if harvested correctly. As for preparation, the rule is simple. Cook it just like spinach. Lamb's quarters contains a small amount of naturally occurring oxalic acid. Cooking breaks this compound down and allows the body to absorb minerals more effectively. Once cooked, it can be eaten comfortably without concern. In the family kitchen, lamb's quarters can replace spinach in nearly all familiar dishes. You can blanch it lightly and dress it with olive oil and salt. You can sauté it with garlic. You can add it to soups, omelets, pasta, or stews. Its flavor is mild, not bitter, and very approachable, even for children. What matters most is that lamb's quarters does not require a complete lifestyle change. It does not demand special tools, large gardens, or agricultural experience. If you have a small patch of soil, a garden corner, or even a place you once planned to spray with herbicide, you already have enough to begin. For many American families, especially middle-aged households, growing lamb's quarters is not just about nutrition. It creates a sense of security. Knowing there is a highly nutritious food source right outside the house, independent of grocery prices or supply chains, brings a very different kind of freedom. More importantly, using lamb's quarters at family meals is an educational act. When children see parents harvesting greens from the yard and cooking with what nature provides, they learn that food does not have to come from store shelves. They learn respect for soil, plants, and natural cycles. Lamb's quarters is not a miracle solution to every problem, but it is a very real, very close, and very easy place to start. And sometimes the biggest changes do not come from complex solutions, but from remembering what was once very simple. Beyond nutrition, Lamb's quarters offers a benefit many people only notice after they begin using it, a reconnection to natural rhythms. When you go outside, observe the plant growing, harvest it at the right time, and bring it into your kitchen. You are not just preparing a meal. You are participating in a cycle that humans once considered normal. For many older adults, using Lamb's quarters brings back memories of simple meals when food did not need labels or advertising. For younger generations, it creates a new experience. Instead of only seeing food wrapped in plastic, they see where meals actually come from. This is especially important in a society where children are increasingly disconnected from nature. Lamb's quarters is also well suited for families who want to save money without sacrificing health. It costs nothing. In seeds, requires no fertilizer, and needs no complex irrigation system. A small patch of soil, even an area once cleared for lawn, can provide greens for months. As living costs rise, this simplicity becomes a major advantage. Another important point is flexibility. If you cannot cook it immediately, you can blanch and freeze it. If you harvest more than you need, you can share it with neighbors. That sharing is not just about food. It is about sharing knowledge. And food knowledge spreads quickly when people see real value in it. Ultimately, using Lamb's quarters is not about rejecting the modern world. It is about adding another option. An option that makes you less dependent, more self-directed, and calmer in the face of change. When you know there is at least one reliable food source just outside your door, that sense of security is something no supermarket can sell. One of the reasons Lamb's quarters has survived, despite decades of aggressive eradication, lies in its seeds. A single plant can produce tens of thousands of tiny seeds. These seeds do not require special storage or advanced preservation. They can remain dormant in the soil for decades, waiting patiently for the right conditions to sprout. In nature, this is a survival strategy. For humans, it is a gift. Saving Lamb's quarters seeds is remarkably simple. When the plant matures and begins to dry, you cut the top portion, let it dry for a few more days, then gently rub it so the seeds fall free. No machinery, no special packaging, just a dry jar and a cool, airy place. This method has been used by humans for thousands of years, and it still works today. But seed saving is not just a technical act. It is an act of choice. When you have seeds, you do not need to buy them again each season. You are no longer dependent on stores, supply chains, or varieties chosen by someone else. You can grow food when you need it, where you live under your own conditions. In many families, saving seeds also becomes a way of passing on knowledge. When parents teach children how to recognize the plant, wait for seeds to mature, and store them properly, it goes beyond gardening. It teaches patience, natural cycles, and responsibility for one's own source of nourishment. These lessons are difficult to learn from books or screens. On a deeper level, saving Lamb's quarters seeds is a quiet countercultural act. It challenges the idea that everything must be purchased, patented, and controlled. It reminds us that there was once a time, and could be again, when food was not a scarce commodity, but the result of a living relationship between people and the land. When you keep a small jar of Lamb's quarter seeds, you are not just preparing for next season. You are holding a piece of collective memory knowledge that sustained humanity across generations. In an increasingly fragile world, preserving this kind of knowledge may be more valuable than any new technology. We did not lose knowledge about food. We forgot it. Or more accurately, we were taught to forget. For decades, people have been trained to believe that food must come from supermarkets wrapped in packaging, shipped long distances, and tightly controlled. Yet long before these systems existed, humans lived well-raised families and survived the hardest periods in history. Lamb's quarters is not a magical plant. It does not promise miracles. It simply reminds us of something very old, that food was once closer, simpler, and freer. That land can still nourish people if we learn to listen and work with it again. In a world where food prices continue to rise, climate patterns grow more unpredictable, and supply chains become increasingly fragile, remembering this knowledge is not nostalgia, it is preparation. Not preparation rooted in fear, but in calm agency and resilience. If this video has opened a new perspective for you, subscribe to the channel so we can continue exploring forgotten natural knowledge together. Share this video with people you care about. And if you are ready, leave a I choose natural food for my family.